live here in Nur Sultan, the capital of Kazakhstan. We have been making a lot of ground in the past week since Steel dropped us off in Germany. We're almost back. That we are. We are here, of course, today with another rendition of Grand Platypus Open, this time the 77th. I'm, of course, Yakuzaku of the Zaku, and with me today is El Nuevo Vegano que come los fines de semana, Light_VIP. How we doing, Light?
What's up, Yaku? We are here. We are back, as you said, with some more Grand Platypus Open. Oh, and I'm happy to finally have one of our players back. He's been a little bit MIA for the past couple of weeks, but
well,
is he
we
really
say
back?
that, but we knew where he was.
It's
the
true.
Entire time.
Yeah, he was asleep.
Yep.
Shaking my head, StarDuck. But mate, we're here, and mate, we're in a PvP.
That we are, a matchup where, considering our players, I don't know who to favor here. But regardless, it is going to start on the romanticide, LE. We're in the top left-hand corner map, starting all the way in the top left-hand corner. We have the pink Protoss player coming out from the land of Hong Kong. He is, of course, stroking his beef. Representing himself, he is Bistork.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of romanticide LE, we have the Australian Protoss player. He is red, representing the Cranky Ducklings themselves. Ourselves. It is StarDuck.
He's the one carrying the torch this week, huh?
Oh boy. Yeah, pretty much. Unfortunately, this week, Oreo isn't here. I mean, to be fair, I imagine he's been busy with his studies. Like, that's typically his excuse, which is acceptable, unlike someone else.
Aries, no, I'm kidding.
Looking at you, Neo, in the chat.
Why did you play in GPU today, man? I mean...
Aye.
But speaking of studies, I am glad that we finally get to see StarDuck in a bit of a PvP. This is... I'm not sure if it's his preferred matchup, but I do feel like it's his best matchup right now. Unfortunate losing a probe like that, but he is still setting up a proxy robo. That's been a sort of while since we've seen one of those.
Yeah, oh my god. Okay, so I am intrigued. StarDuck, you have my attention, and you have Bistork's attention. He saw that, hey, you're missing a pylon, I'm gonna look for it, and immediately he's gonna scout this.
Unfortunate. Two stalkers are on the way, and it shouldn't take too much for those two to just depower these buildings with that single pylon. I'm curious as to whether or not StarDuck will commit, because it's going to be a bit of a gambit, but if he does get Immortals out, I feel like Bistork is going to be in a lot of trouble. Big if, though.
Yeah, I am really concerned. I mean, to be fair, this scout was relatively late. Like, the proxy was already almost done. So, StarDuck, he's committed. We do see that, oh my god, Bistork, he's headed towards depowering this, and StarDuck is only just now leaving home.
Yeah, 3 stalkers. Oh, but the stalkers are getting a little bit distracted. The Immortal is about to pop, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Chrono Boost is going to be utilized. But the Immortal will barely make it out. Another pylon on the way, and just like that, things have swung so hard in StarDuck's favor.
Mate, that was literally the last second possible, and the Immortal just came out. As you said, in come the reinforcements of StarDuck, and luckily he was able to throw down another pylon, so we're going to have more Immortals on the way. Is this going to be enough for StarDuck?
Well, it may be enough for him to at least contain Bistork on 2 bases if he decides to get a expansion of his own. Bistork actually coming to the low ground. He's supply capped because of that pylon.
Exactly, but he does force field, and he's focusing down the Immortal, and it looks like he will get it. He does pick up, StarDuck does pick up a couple of units before that happens, and he still has momentum, mate.
He does, but now Bistork has an Immortal of his own. I was gonna say, you know, there's a bit of a moment just before StarDuck gets the other Immortal where Bistork will be favored, but now, even with the second Immortal, even with potentially a Disruptor on the way, Bistork is just looking set for the rest of the early game, at least.
Yeah. I mean, StarDuck, he's aware that he can't really end the game from this point onwards. That's why he has a Robotics Bay on the way. A very interesting follow-up, by the way. Like, it's not something you necessarily see too often. but there's a lot of potential with this, right? Like, as long as he's able to keep his robo alive.
Yeah. Which he should be able to. What's interesting to me is that this is not going to be an all-in coming out from StarDuck. He's still expanding. He's actually the first player to get his natural.
Yeah, that he is, again, really respecting his opponent. And meanwhile, oh my god, he's going to keep on going. Yo, he wants that immortal.
Adepts surprisingly effective against immortals. You wouldn't think so, but the firing rate, just the fact that they do have quite a bit of health on them, relatively a lot of health on them, and immortals just don't do any bonus damage against light units. Or against non-armored units, I should say.
Yeah, they're so like annoying to deal with. I think that's probably the best word for that. But StarDuck has to be really careful here when it comes to giving his opponent room, because again, like the disruptor, like it's possible. Okay, it looks like it will just get out in time. Is it gonna be enough though? There's no blink.
There's not. Bistork does have that Warpism 4 micro. Started trying to take it out. The immortal of StarDuck is still alive. The same cannot be said for Bistork, nor that Warpism. GG is called, and StarDuck takes game number 1.
Mate, who expects the follow-up disruptor, mate? Like
that soon? Probably not anyone.
Exactly. That was exactly what StarDuck needed. Even without that, like, he was kind of holding his own. He was the first player to expand as well. He totally could have pulled that off of a 1-base all-in if he wanted to. But like, he had a lot going on.
Why take the risk, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
Just like that, GG. It has been so long. We very rarely get to see StarDuck in a PvP, don't we? Just because of how, Zerg's, how Zerg heavy this region sort of is, specifically GPO, and I mean even the names at champs and the like. He was up against a lot of Zerg players, but now this really is the matchup where he shines.
Yeah, and I really appreciate this as well, because I don't think I've ever seen a proxy robo into a disruptor follow-up like that before. And it was nice to see. And it's important as well because, you know, you were touching on ANZ champs, and he does have the only other Protoss players in the region in his group as well. Like, he's just like last season, he's in the same group as Pez and Probe.
That's unfortunate, but I would be pretty worried if I was Prez or Probe right now, as spawning in the top right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner, we have the pink Protoss player coming out from the land of Hong Kong. He is known as the Kong from Hong Kong himself, the second best player, second only to Gogo Joey. He's currently representing himself. He's unfortunately currently teamless, but always stroking his beef. He is, of course, Bistork.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Oxide LE, we have the Australian Protoss player. He is red, representing the Cranky Ducklings. It is StarDuck. And
and you know what? Is that chant feature working now on Twitch, at least publicly?
I'm glad
chant.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed it out because I noticed it as well.
But yeah, let's go here, Daunted. Spam this chuck for our Protoss, or just tossed StarDuck, yeah.
You're like, did I make that?
I did make that. It's coming back to me because I was like, toss is like a pun because that's why we have the football, because then it's like you toss the ball, but it's also toss because it's Protoss. I should probably put like pro space toss StarDuck to make it more clear.
Yeah. Regardless, it's the copy pasta that we have. So yes, if you want to cheer on StarDuck, we have the copy pastas in the chat. Shout out to Daunted. Meanwhile, shout out to Melty and Kuro as well. You know, they did resub as we were going live. We weren't able to point that out earlier.
Is this another Twitch function? It shows the sub goal.
Yeah, I was really confused about that, not gonna lie, because I know we don't have that many subs.
Is that public? Or is that just for mods?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, also we don't have that many subs. Or maybe it's like taking into account tiers.
Resubs. I imagine it takes
maybe resubs too. Yeah. Well, speaking of public, started going for the proxy Stargate, but so is Bistork. Bistork a lot closer to natural. It's actually going to be very different proxy Stargates as well. Bistork with the Void Ray Shield battery, StarDuck with probably Oracle's coming out.
Yeah, but this is going to be winnable if StarDuck is able to scout this. Like, if he sees this, and then he can make his own Void Ray and he can come back home. He does fully wall off at home. He's throwing down his shield battery. He's not necessarily aware of the tech. He did probe scout, I believe, so he knows something is out there, and hopefully he can deduce what's coming.
Yes, actually he is getting a shield battery. It's a nice little catch-all. What is the Stargate going to get here for StarDuck? It might not even get anything until StarDuck can confirm what Bistork is getting. He's going for the Void Ray, playing it safe. I like this a lot.
Definitely.
From StarDuck.
Exactly.
He knows something's coming.
He's making all the right moves right now. He's also making a backup pylon as well, so there's not only one, there's no Artosis pylon powering everything. He forces a denial on some of these shield batteries.
That was
a great start. Oh my god, a kill?
That was actually a kill for StarDuck, yeah. He doesn't know exactly what's coming his way, but he can sort of deduce based on those shield batteries, and now it's confirmed. That was a kill for Bistork. And, I mean, Bistork does have a little bit of momentum here at the start. It's going to take a while before StarDuck can get his units in position, particularly his Void Ray, but as you said, the Void Ray is very low. Yeah,
Bistork being so ballsy with his own Void Ray. He's lost so much health, and in comes the Void Ray of StarDuck. Obviously a little bit late because of the positioning of his own proxy, but he's holding.
He is holding for now, but his shield batteries are eventually light. His own stalkers are behind the wall. They don't quite have the range that Bistork does. I think Bistork will take out that Void Ray, and now suddenly the momentum is all in his favor.
Yeah, exactly.
So a little bit
of miss micro there by StarDuck, losing that Void Ray a little bit needlessly there. He has to wait a little bit more for more energy. Another Void Ray's on the way, sure, but now Bistork has two.
He's being so careful with his own Void Rays. Well, I say that, but he is being ballsy. He's being ballsy, but careful as well. GG. Bistork ties up that series sideways. 1-1. That, I do honestly feel like that game came down to control more than anything. StarDuck had what he needed to defend. Bistork had what he needed to attack. It was just who could position their Void Rays better.
Yeah. I mean, it also did come down to the opener a little bit, right? Like, if StarDuck had his Stargate in his main instead of outside his main, then the defenses would have been a little bit faster as well. Like, it was a little bit unfortunate. But at the same time, like, we see that build from Bistork quite often on Oxide, you know? Like, it's a big risk to take when you go for a proxy like StarDuck did. It
really is, especially if your opponent is Bistork, who decides to go for proxy Void Rays like that.
It's true. It's very true.
Oh, man. Is this why I'm so hyped for this PvP? Like, StarDuck was known in the past to be a very... I mean, I think we mentioned it before, you know. StarDuck will look at a Bistork game, and he'll be like, I may have fallen down this dark path if I hadn't, you know, been careful with how I practiced. Unfortunately, now he's fallen down a darker path of Kerrigan survival, but you know.
I was about to say, is Bistork's path dark when you have to compare it to Kerrigan survival? Like,
yeah, I mean, relatively.
Relatively. Regardless, I love that we're tied up 1-1, a very fast series. I mean, it's a PvP between Bistork and StarDuck. We expected this to happen. I'm just happy that it's going to the ace match.
Yeah, as am I. I mean, it's a PvP, so it probably won't happen, but I do just want to mention that they are players who can be very cheesy. In fact, that's what they were known for a lot, but they can also take it to the late game. Both players very much enjoying that Stargate composition and Stargate styles.
Yeah.
In fact, just to say, if either of them go up against Zemi today, that's what they're going to have to go for. Just what carriers, mate. Nothing but carriers to blow up his PC. Feels bad, man.
It's true. It's very true. I mean, that's what we would expect in a PvZ from these two players. But in the PvP, we've seen it's very different, right? It just goes to show how different the matchups can be from one another. Just because of, again, we've seen proxies from both players so far already.
Yeah. And speaking of both players, here we are looking to conclude the best of 3 between both players here on 2000 Atmospheres. LE, unfortunately, we're not casting Hero, but I mean, some of them might skate. They might be skater boys, right? Hopefully. In the bottom left-hand corner, the map starting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner, the pink Protoss player coming out from the land of Hong Kong. He is, of course, going to be representing himself as he's currently teamless, but always going to be representing all you beef strokers out there. He is Bistork.
Spawning in the top right hand corner of 2000 atmospheres, LE. We have the player who does not stroke his beak. He's the Duck of the Stars. He's representing the Cranky Ducklings. It is StarDuck.
Very quickly, we're getting some confirmation here from Kuro that the sub goal does take into account tiers. So we have a bunch of tier 2 subs that are in there, and also that Lord Loken is worth about 100.
Yep. This
points
is
in there.
This is accurate. Massive shout out to Lord Loken. He's there. He's in the chat, always here cheering for his boys. We'll get there eventually, you know, when it comes to players like Gogo, Joey, and Mia Micah. But before that happens, we have our Protosses. And StarDuck has to be careful. Forcing a lot of less mining time here. 3 probes off the line.
3 probes, yeah. And they're already halfway across the map. I mean, this is such an advantage in a mirror matchup.
Yeah, you don't see it too often.
Difference.
It's heavily in favor of StarDuck. Meanwhile, the other interesting thing to point out is that so far everything is at home for both players. So far, I see this probe, StarDuck. This is a probe that's looking for revenge. It already pulled 3 probes off the mineral line for Bistork. Now it's looking to complete its job and just get a proxy out. I mean, it's already more than paid for itself. The second pylon is in the main base of StarDuck, so we're waiting to see if a third pylon gets thrown down here, as we have a couple of adepts on the way.
To kill a probe.
Oh, that is.
Just like so. Show me what that probe is for, StarDuck. Pylon. At this point, do you think it's going to be any major tech buildings? Oh, there's a Twilight Council. There's a Twilight Council at home.
There is a Twilight Council at home. This could be a gateway to just reinforce. I'm really curious to see what the Twilight Council is going to be for. I really do kind of hope to see some DTs.
I would be very disappointed if it's anything but. As you were saying, you know, StarDuck may as well just try to throw down a warp gate now as that Twilight Council finishes up. But yeah, DTs would be amazing. That wall was not a wall. Adept slips in. Gets a little bit of damage here. And more importantly, very good scouting. What does the Adept see, Light? It sees that there's a Robo. It sees that the Robo is only now on the way.
Yeah, that's the thing. He saw the Robo. He commits anyway to the Dark Shrine.
Yes.
That's kind of risky, not gonna lie. To be fair, because Bistork doesn't assume that this is coming, he doesn't have a sentry yet, but if he did, then he could try and force field the ramp and keep this Robo alive. It is vulnerable. It is a target for StarDuck.
Yeah, I feel like these Adepts may be a little bit of a tip-off right now for Bistork. I mean, he's gonna be ringing a couple of bells. Observer. Warp Prism first. All right, there we go.
Yeah.
We could get into a bit of an awkward base trade, actually.
We could. A third gateway's on the way for Bistork. Let me just quickly check. Did StarDuck scout that? He did, so he knows how aggressive Bistork is going to be. What I will say is that StarDuck can 100% defend at home with a single DT. Like, there's not going to be an observer across the map.
Yeah.
So he could be relatively safe. Does he have enough to attack at the same time?
Maybe. 1 DT at home, a bunch of other DTs across the map.
Yeah. And I love it. Like,
worked out for him.
These Adepts are distracting Bistork right now. They're keeping all these Stalkers at home. They're keeping the Warp Prism at home as well.
Yeah, a couple of Stalkers here trying to get something done across the map for Bistork, but not as strong as they would like to be. Actually targeting down that shield battery. There's that cancel.
Yeah, there it is, and we still don't see a DT here yet. There it is, the first one being warped in across the map, not at home. I respect this from StarDuck. You know, he did, like, there's a world there where he warps in a DT at home because he was maybe a little bit threatened, but no, he's confident in his own defenses at home.
And he should be. I mean, there's not really a whole lot to worry about yet. He kept that Warp Prism at home for so long.
Yeah.
Now he's going to reveal his hand, though.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And as soon as that happened, we have an observer on the way and a full wall off.
Yeah. I worry this may have been a little bit mistimed for StarDuck, and now there's a lot of momentum going on across the map for Bistork.
That there is. Meanwhile, the wall's not a wall at home. There are enough Stalkers, more than enough to one-shot the Stalkers of StarDuck.
Just like so. The DT is still being a little bit annoying, but no more than a light nuisance right now for Bistork. If you power everything, then, I mean, could be in an amazing position.
Yeah, and the micro as well. The War Prism keeps a lot of these Stalkers alive. We do have a bit of a warp in. Oh, StarDuck just barely keeps that pylon alive.
So to get a shield battery energy, he used up the battery overcharge earlier. He could not keep these structures powered. A couple of probes go down on the other side of the map. 2 observers at home. No, Bistork, you need one across the map. All of a sudden, StarDuck is back in this.
Mate, StarDuck is fine because 1, StarDuck didn't lose a single worker. 2, StarDuck has a Nexus.
Yeah. If Bistork wants to win this game, he needs to kill StarDuck right now. But considering he sent one of the observers back home, I feel like StarDuck can try to buy himself a bit of time here. He's supplied, actually not supply capped.
Oh yeah, and Bistork making a mistake. He pulls the trigger a little bit too early. Because of that, he loses another Stalker. Again, he has to wait for that observer before he can really fight this army. StarDuck, he's buying a lot of time. Shield battery only just now goes down though, a little bit late. Does he have enough to hold on?
Maybe. Neither of them have blink yet. Bistork a little bit delayed with that Warp Prism.
And now it's just a numbers game. StarDuck has more than enough. The DTs more than paid for themselves. Did you see StarDuck trying to focus down that War Prism? It looks like he will not. But, I mean, now the War Prism is not a part of the fight.
That it is not. Bistork. I feel like pulling that trigger a little bit too quickly cost him the game. That and not having an observer across the map. He had 2 light.
He did.
They were both at home. GG is called. And StarDuck takes that series 2-1.
GG, well played. StarDuck showing us all that he's got it in him, even or especially in PvP. And you know, it's understandable, right? PvP, that's the matchup where, you know, it comes down to a lot of micro and it gets really intense early on, less so on the macro. And now StarDuck, he moves on, and mate, he's up against his nemesis.
Oh, he's up against Oreo. No.
It's a sibling.
That he is. Yeah. He's up against his cousin.
He's up against a player who he faced twice in DreamHack Fall. He was able to beat him in a best of 5. Sorry. Best
of 3.
Beat him in a best of 3 in the qualifiers, but did lose in the main event. Mate, he's up against
he beat him once in the group stage as well. So technically, if we're counting, it's a best of... They played 3 best of 3s, right? So it's a best of 3, best of 3. It's a best of 3 consisting of best of 3s. And, you know, technically, StarDuck won the best of 3 of the best of 3s.
This is why Yaku doesn't do math on stream. This is
what?
Good.
Wait, okay, so it's 3 best of 3s, so it's like best of 9 in total. 3 times 3. And, you know, StarDuck, he technically won the best of 9, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
He won 4 games. No, wait.
I guess
there was 1-2-0 and then 1-2-1 and then 1-2-0, but for Miyamika, so he won 4. Miyamika 1.
So
3.
while Yaku does the math, what's important is that these two recently have a bit of a history, right? They've you know, they've gone back and forth. Miyamika was the one in the end to knock StarDuck out of DreamHack Fall, right? And now they're gonna face again, and I'm excited because there was a long time, the majority of the time, Miyamika would dominate StarDuck, right? It was 100% one-sided. But recently things have been a little bit different.